Welcome everyone to Connect and Create, and I'm Karina Sephora. I'm hosting this show, and we have the fabulous guest Andrea Fono. So as we get started, I'd like to share just a little bit with you about Andrea. Andrea is a professional artist, and she's worked for more than 3 decades. And Andrea Fono is hopes to inspire spiritual discovery through her paintings, her monoprints, and drawings. And the Bay Area artist considers her work visual meditations that convey the human connections to the larger world and ultimately infinity and even the cosmos. During her visit to the Amazon rainforest in 2011, Fono was shocked. She was shocked at by the jungle's devastation caused by deforestation, and she pledged to share the experience and her concerns through her art. I hear a calling for a new kind of eco-justice artist whose function will be to bridge culture, education, and the sciences.
People?
She explains.
Karina, can you mute people?
I can mute people, and folks, please don't take yourself back off mute until towards the end. Great. So, at any rate, Andrea is a wonderful artist. We're going to share a little bit more about her before we get into the rest of the talk. So she's dedicated to education, and Fono mentors artists of all ages at her Redwood City studio, encouraging them to explore their visual voices. She also hosts corporate creativity field trips throughout Silicon Valley, designed to foster communication, innovation, thinking, and a sense of openness and play within a company structure. A frequent guest on Bay Area television, Fono was nominated for a local Emmy Award for her inspiration segment on View from the Bay. Fono also supports the Fiji Reads project, which she co-founded with her husband, a native Fijian. The nonprofit contributes art supplies and books to schools throughout Fiji. So as we get started, Andrea, I would like to ask, can you tell us a little bit about your philosophy on living as a global citizen?
I would. I'd be honored to. First, let me thank Karina for inviting me to her brand new platform, Connect and Create, where she's going to be interviewing artists and entrepreneurs and all the spices and secret ingredients they have for their success. So I'm going to do a bit of that too. I'd also like to thank Bruce, who's going to be showing some pictures and a video, and he's volunteering his time. And I want to thank my husband for making breakfast and dinner and helping me get ready, and all of you for coming. And my hug to you. Okay. I had to do that. Yes, I'm going to share with you, if you could put up the first 2 slides, Bruce. That's a painting where, let's see, it's a little foggy, but we won't worry about that. Could you go to the picture next? And then why are we here? Next. There's a quote on the side of my business card. I'll refer to this picture a little bit later in our discussion, but if you could go to the next slide, Bruce. It reads, "There are always flowers for those who want to see them," by Henri Matisse. And what that means for me, thank you, that's great, is that we create opportunity. We create our own opportunities. Oh, my husband is saying that my thing is in the way. Thanks, honey. That I believe that drawing the world to me, drawing the people of the world to me, connecting was the secret and magic ingredient, and always looking for any chance to show my artwork. I would say that I'm always traveling, even when I'm at home. As soon as I walk out my door. And when I'm traveling, I'm at home. Let's see, let me start. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, and global citizen is a frame of mind, and I'll explain that to you in the talk. If you could go to the next 2 pictures, Bruce. Oh, look at the shy Catholic schoolgirl. So I grew up in San Francisco, and my parents were restaurateurs and became quite celebrated. They had opened about 100 restaurants before I was 10 years old. If you could go to the next picture. My parents were immigrants from Hungary, and it was actually my first language. I was an only child, and as I said before, quite shy, but when I was 10 years old, my mother put a Hungarian dress on me, and I started to work in their restaurants called Art Fono in San Francisco. And oh, I'm a little nervous. I'm going to take a deep breath. Why I'm showing you this picture, and you can come back to me, is that I spent every weekend, every Friday and Saturday night working for my parents for the next 12 years. And I learned some really incredible things that I really made a difference in my art career. The first thing is that I was the hostess. My father would tell me what table to seat people. And so I learned how to connect. I learned how to smile. I learned that people weren't anybody to be scared of. I met people from all over San Francisco. I met people from all over the country and all over the world. And so I learned to have this facility with people. And also, I knew people were hungry. Sometimes people waited an hour or 2. We would serve 300 to 400 people on a Friday and a Saturday night. It was quite a popular restaurant. And so I also knew to be of service. The other thing that I learned was, I think it was about 12 or 13, I became the person who went to the table to sell desserts and offer desserts. And I would describe the sweet cheese palatine with the hot sour cream sauce, or the walnut palatine with raisins, and a chocolate brandy sauce that had 3 different chocolates that my mother melted for it. And when I offered the whole selection and people said no, they don't want a dessert, I learned that no is not about me. It's just they didn't want a dessert. So when I started my art career out of college, I didn't take it personally. If someone didn't want a painting or they did want a painting, it was just like if they wanted a dessert or they didn't want a dessert. But this was a key element, which I wish I could impart to all artists. The other thing that I learned from growing up working at my parents' restaurants is I watched my parents work very hard. They worked 7 days a week. We worked weekends, we worked holidays. And I learned what having like impeccability in a business is. Also starting from nothing. In 1976, one Sunday morning, my mother said to my father, Laszlo, I want to make the best ice cream in the world. And my father went, okay, Paulette. Now we knew nothing about ice cream, but the next thing I knew, we were on our way to Italy. And for 12 years, my parents went 3 times a year to Italy just to learn how to make ice cream and sorbet. And I got to go once a year with them. And we'd go from town to town to town, just to the gelaterias. And so why do I bring this up? They didn't know how to make ice cream. How does an artists don't know how to sell their art, but they learned, they were curious, they applied themselves, they had a devotion. And then, did I say curiosity already? And then my mother decided she wanted to have a gelateria built in Italy. So I saw how they borrowed money from a bank and how they hired an architect to build a building. And so there's like the whole world of business and how to create one was evolved before my eyes. And so by the time I was 18, I had a lot of distinctions in business that sure came in handy as an artist. The restaurants also ended up providing the first place where I sold my art. Now, my mother, my Hungarian mother, she wouldn't let me actually sell any art from the restaurants. She started to show my work when I was 15 years old. And I kind of shrugged. I didn't get it. I didn't stop it, but I was like, okay, Mom, if that's what you want to do, fine. Seminar where I whispered into someone's ear, I'd like to be an artist and make a living at it. And the next day I sold the painting for $7.
We lost you.
Yeah, the sound's not working, friend.
What time did you lose me?
2 minutes.
And now the visuals
Andrea,
off.
Also, we've got a message that said the host was unmuting me.
Andrea, please,
I'm listening.
I'm going to mute everyone. Can you unmute yourself in 1 second, please?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Andrea.
We are also practicing wabi-sabi. Does everyone know what that means? It means in Japanese, perfection in imperfection. So I don't know where I got cut off, but I was going to say that I was displaying my art in their restaurants. My mother opened this beautiful gelateria with food and had 4 restaurants at the Stanford Shopping Center in Palo Alto. And when people actually wanted to buy the art on the walls, my mother would say, I don't sell my chairs, I don't sell my refrigerators, and I don't sell my artwork, but I will take you to her studio. So it was very sweet that way. And it's where I was able to get my art dealers from Hong Kong, Brazil, Japan. I was invited to do my first solo art exhibition in Spain before I even had a solo exhibition in San Francisco at 25 years old. And so it's like the working for the restaurants, the karma paid off. And again, I'm just going to review, for the sake of the entrepreneurial side of being an artist, for the artist out there, how important it is to be professional. I had said before, be impeccable, be kind to guests, be ready. You know, when the restaurant opens at 11 a.m., you gotta be ready, in action, and hustle like the dickens, because you're running in a restaurant. Return phone calls, borrow money if you need capital to create it and pay it back. So that's the first section. Thank you. Okay, Bruce,
Great.
would you show the pictures of the kids in Fiji? Or Karina, do you have anything you want to say?
Yes, Andrea, could you share with us a little bit about where did making a difference emerge for you?
Ah, perfect. You could go back to the little kids on the beach. I just kind of put the photos together last night, so imperfection in the digital look, but it's okay. We're starting somewhere. Fast forward. Oh, I had all the things I just mentioned. Oh, that's good. You can go back to the Fiji kids for a second. All the distinctions I mentioned before allowed me to sell $1 million worth of art before I turned 30. And I would never have been able to do that without everything I learned in my parents' business. So fast forward about, I don't know how many years, but I went to Fiji in 2001. I went to do a Tony Robbins conference there. And you can come back to me for a second. That's Frank, that's my Fijian husband. That's when we got married. So I knew I was going to do this program, and I also knew that Tony Robbins was very interested in raising money for infirmaries around the islands. And so I contacted them. I said, listen, if I were to donate 6 paintings, would you like to have a fundraiser with everyone who's coming to the seminar? And I donated 6 paintings. Oh, and we raised $14,000. Also, I thought to myself, after all these years, it was time for me to give it away. And I thought, what if I were to give art supplies away to people who had never seen art supplies before? And I had just, previous to going to Fiji in 2001, I had just sold a small home I had renovated in Los Angeles. So I had a little money in my pocket. And after having an argument with myself in an art store, I decided to buy $1,000 worth of art supplies and take them to Fiji and give them away. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know how I was going to give them away. But before 9/11, do you remember when you could check in at the airport, and if you smiled or gave $5 to the person checking in, they'd let you take extra weight luggage? Do you remember those days? Well, I was a pro at that because I was always traveling with too many bags, which is, if you're an artist, you will be traveling with extra bags and art supplies. But now I had boxes of things. Well, as it turned out, after I arrived, I chose a village called Nukubalavu to do art lessons every Saturday. And that's the village where my husband is from. If you could show the picture, Frank. I'm sorry, Bruce. So I met Frank in that village, and we were married 5 years later. And if you could show the next picture, I had a quickie marriage at City Hall. I didn't need a lot of attention. I had a couple people there. My Sheila, who's here with us today, was there. And what was I going to say? Yes, it was a quickie City Hall wedding, and we went camping after for 5 days. My mother was even on speakerphone. It was just meant to be very casual. And I just didn't want money spent on a big wedding. But 2 years afterwards, my mother called and she said, Andrea, your father and I have been talking. We never had a party for you after your wedding. And I said, that's all right. I didn't ask for a party. I didn't want a party. She goes, your father and I have decided we want to give you a present. We want to send you and Frank to Europe for your honeymoon. And I thought, I'll take that. I won't argue with that. So I had a chance to take Frank home to my family in Hungary and to my friends that live all over Europe. What I had said to Frank was, in planning the trip, I said, you can come back to me for a second, Bruce. I said to, I asked Frank, you know, when we're in Europe, is it okay with you if we spend some time sketching gardens and doing some landscapes? And he said, sure. And then I thought, I could invite my friends or relatives to come paint with us when we're in the park. Why not? And then I thought, oh, I could invite people I don't know to paint with us. And then I thought, well, why would we do that? And I thought, in the name of peace. Now, I was never a peacey person, but it just kind of came to me, and our honeymoon became an art adventure. Could you go to the next picture, Bruce? On the back of my postcard, okay, perfect, the next one, I had the theme of our honeymoon translated into 5 languages. Again, it's a little blurry. We'll upgrade the pictures on the next interview. It says at the top, love and creativity, igniting connection and beauty. You can go to the next one, please. So I had banners made. Oh, and you can go to the next one. We also did a making out for peace all over. This was easier because we both, you know, we just had tons. We didn't need art supplies for this. That was a side project. You can come back to me for a second. But we have pictures of us all over the world right now with making out in certain places. Do we have peace yet? No. So Frank, we need to do a lot more kissing. Hint, hint. Oh, by the way, that's another one of my tips to a successful life. But what happened is, why don't I show the video? Let's see what happened. Bruce, can you bring up the video? So our little honeymoon turned into something much, much bigger. It's just 90 seconds. What if an artist could jump outside of the paradigm where the trappings and illusions of fame and fortune were the goal of the day? What if art making was taken out of isolation? And what if art could ignite and unite humanity? We tested if peace could be an outcome captured in a still picture, not just painted by one person or a lucky few with access to art supplies, but an open-ended invitation to whomever would like to declare themselves an artist of peace and reconciliation, even for 1 hour. What would the impact of compounded conscious creativity be? These are the faces of a global experiment. Painting Our Peace is a summons for the people of the world to make art and beauty together, to employ creative expression for the healing and flourishing of humanity. Color has no language or boundaries. Embracing imagination, all are welcome to play. Who would you bring together if you were to make art in the name of peace? Thank you, Bruce.
The best.
We've had close to 4,000 people play with us now. If you could show a few more pictures, Frank and I were invited to Tunisia to an international arts festival there. And around this time, I guess my Painting for Peace project got to my head, because at this point I decided I was going to be an art ambassador. Ta-da! And it was really just a declaration. I must have read it somewhere. Someone else was doing it. I stole the idea, but I was doing it a la Andrea Fono. And so I wrote a letter to the American Embassy in Tunisia. And I asked if I could bring them a painting for peace, because if I was going to be an art ambassador, I better let everybody know. So I wrote the embassy a letter if I could bring a painting for peace. I didn't hear from them. I completely forgot about it. And the day before we were leaving to fly to Northern Africa, I got an email that the embassy was expecting Frank and I and my friends to bring this so-called painting for peace to the embassy, and the ambassador would be receiving us. Well, there wasn't a painting. There was nothing. I hadn't planned for it. And they had a specific time 2 days later. So I grabbed the most beautiful frame, already pre-made frame from Michael's, packed it as best as I could. There was no painting in it. And as soon as the plane landed, I was painting for about 20 hours to do this painting for peace, right? And if you could show the next picture, Bruce. The presentation ended up being on the State Department website, The Many Universal Stories of Love and Peace. And if you go to the next one, you can't read it, but this was the same, when this happened was the same week that Obama won his Nobel Peace Prize. And we were mentioned below, as you can see. So there's like, I wasn't making money from that. I wasn't, I was just playing with what could happen, right? I mean, gosh, there's nothing really else to say except, gosh, who knows what can happen when you apply yourself. Next picture, please. Oh, look at Frank, the ambassador, right? Okay, next picture. So what I do is I create a drawing in black and white. It's cut up in a lot of pieces. And when people are coloring it, they don't know that they're all going to go together at the end. I learned this technique from some of you who've been to the Conference for Global Transformation. Wendy Mike used to do this at the conference. And she gifted this process to me. And she said she learned it from another artist. And so I create this huge, either 6 foot by 6 foot drawing. In Tunisia, it was 20 feet. So everyone does a section, and at the end, it all goes together. And the gift of this occasion is, or what I say the gift is that you can see that your creativity melted and melded and woven with other people's creativity is so important for how we move forward as humanity. You could go to the next picture, Bruce. Oh, this is bringing art supplies to kids in Mexico. The part I wanted to talk about with this was I was doing a seminar in Mexico, and whenever I go anywhere, I dare myself. For 5 minutes, can I not think about me? Just for 5 minutes. And so I found out from Air Alaska that the stewardesses started an organization called Children of the Dumps, School of Champions, where they created a school in the middle of the dumps in Puerto Vallarta, where the kids couldn't go to school because they didn't have the clothing or they didn't have the best hygiene. And I brought, from the donations that I procured from the city and my friends, brought 10 boxes of art supplies. I say 10 a lot because I'm not sure if it was 11, 12, or 9, but I called, you can come back to me for a second, Bruce. I remember the first time I called my local art store. Actually, my friend Bruce from England was visiting. I was holding his hand. I was so scared to call the art store for donations. Like, do you have any extra art supplies you're not using? But after the first phone call, I realized it's easy to ask for contributions for other people. So I called all the Bay Area art stores. I called all my artist friends. And at the time I was doing a lot of corporate art field trips, and I must have mentioned it to them. And there, a couple corporations got involved, and they raised money, and they bought backpacks and art supplies and basketballs, and we just had so many things. And then one of my favorite things about being resourceful is I called Alaska Airlines maybe 30, 40 times, different people saying, because I don't want to pay for the shipping of all those things, money's better spent on art supplies or things the kids need. So I just keep calling people at Alaska Airlines, you know, could I take my boxes for free? And they go, no, I don't think so. And then I go, well, who else could I talk to who might say yes? So I love that kind of resourcefulness until someone says yes. Next couple pictures. What I didn't share for you is that the painting for peace, this is a boy in Nepal, and you could show the next picture. This is Maggie Doyne, who won the $100,000 CNN award. If you go back again, Bruce, when I'm doing our painting for peace, I give the art supplies away right after that. And when I was at a conference in Holland, there was a speaker there named Maggie, and she has an orphanage in Nepal. And so I gave her all the pastels, and within a couple days, these oil pastels I had bought on University Avenue in Palo Alto had gone to Holland, and within a week, we're now in Kathmandu, and this young boy was making money was selling his drawings on the street. Next picture, please. And anyway, Maggie, a few years later, won the $100,000 prize, and we're still in touch, and I still send her art supplies. Next picture, please. Let's see, how are we doing with time? We have 14 minutes, right? We're just
we
gonna
have a little less than that, just because remember we're going to do the question and answer and comments. So you.
Oh, that's right.
About,
okay, we'll just go through very quickly
yeah.
Here. Bruce, I decided about 9 years ago to go to graduate school. And if you could stop for just a second, the connection to people turned into connection with nature and connection with my soul. I went to graduate school because I was craving academia, and I wanted to read the master's works of the mystics of all the various religions of the world, the mystics from medieval time and the contemporary mystics, including poetry and cosmology. And I'd spent about 5 years trying to figure out how I could paint the stars. It all seemed kind of ridiculous. I mean, who's going to paint the cosmos? But one day I saw these cherry blossoms, and it came to me that if I could paint with these cherry blossoms, if you could continue, Bruce. So just to be quick, we'll just go through a bunch of pictures of how I use flowers to represent stars. And this led to an exhibition in Japan last year. And we can just keep going, Bruce. And then I want to show you that, that's how my art studio looks like in the springtime. It's just full of blossoms. And I have a cute video on that if anybody wants to see it. You could put in your chat box. I could send you the link. This is in Japan, the exhibit. It's a designer's boutique. She's one of the top designers in Tokyo. And they had been selling my artwork for 30 years, in fact. And this is last year. You could keep going, Bruce. These are painted with jasmine. This is my card. If you could stay here for a second. The pink side. One of my other secrets to connecting is I would always, actually, you could come back to me. Whenever I travel, I always want to give something to someone. It's like I'm still the hostess. I'm still handing out the dessert menu. Would you like an artwork? And I know in Japan, cards are very important. And I mean, I do this anyway, but with every person I met, I'd hand them a card. I mean, bus driver, in the subway. It was like I have a moment to connect with people. I'm repeating myself a lot. But that's all I have. I think, like, if I think about my art business, I'm really in the now business. I'm in the now. Yeah, I don't just reserve business cards for after a conversation. I introduce myself and share right away. You could go through a whole bunch of pictures, Bruce. When I went to Japan, I decided to do a photography project. There's my friend Tomo, and we hired a photographer. Tomo, it was her mother's art gallery. And Tomo hired a photographer, and then I decided, since I didn't need to bring art supplies to Tokyo, I would do a photo series. And I've been including kind of word-infused kindness, evolutionary cosmic courage. Oh, this is all this fabric I brought with me. I didn't know what to do. It wasn't planned. I just, stay here for a second, Bruce. This is in the most iconic intersection in Japan where 200 to 400 people cross at the same time. And yes, of course, we had to start our photo shoot in the middle. Keep going. Sakura sandwiches. There's a poem that's a haiku. You could go to the haiku, the next one. I'm going through quickly. I think, like, if you're going to have a poem, you might as well wear it. Oh, I'm wrapped to a tree with a Japanese haiku. Don't ask me why. We don't know why Andrea does these things. But there's a way that I play. Now, this is at home. Sakura sandwich. That's the restaurant business in me combined with cherry blossoms. Keep going, Bruce. I don't think I'm finishing any sentences, but we're okay with that, right? So my point is to combine words and play and fun and belonging, flowers. If I haven't done any complete sentences, I'm responsible. Thank you. You can keep going. Oh, that's my friend Guillermo. We did a photo shoot in Mexico when I was there. It says, live by the freedom of my imagination. Next picture. Oh, it said something there about my being fat. Oh, and then Guillermo invited me to write a poem on his back. So I might not sleep with the locals anymore, but that doesn't keep me from painting on them. And I'm going to leave with a couple things. Oh, go back. Oh, no. Have you, I can't read it, it's so blurry. Have you given yourself a chance to play today? So what I'm going to close with is my tips for success are, first, the 5 C's: community, connection, contribution, being courteous and curious. And then the things that nobody ever tells you about business is, what's important is twirling, flirting, kissing, playing, and poetry. And you could go to the next one. And if you can leave your clothes on, even better, next one. But if you can't, make the best of it. I'm sorry the pictures are blurry. Didn't have much time to work that out. Ta-da! Thank you, Corinna.
Yes. Great. Well, we took a world tour with you, Andrea. Thank you for bringing all those photos. And Bruce, thank you for your fabulous slideshow that you that you worked with Andrea. And we have many, many guests right now. We would like to, we have a few more minutes, and love to see if you want to raise your electronic hand if there's anyone that has a question or a comment. We could take a few of those now. Let's see, I see Zoya. And then
Zoya, hi Zoya.
and if you wouldn't mind, just take yourself off mute when you go to ask when I call on you. Zoya, do you have a question?
I just have a quick comment. Hi, Andrea. Thank you for this. I've known Andrea for at least 20 years, and the most important thing that you've ever taught me, you've taught me a lot of stuff, was when you offered to make art with me. And I said, oh no, I'm an artist in another field, but I don't draw well. And you said, oh, anybody can make art. And I said, what do you mean anybody could make art? If an artist makes art, that's art. But if someone who doesn't have talent makes art, that's not art. And you said, where did you get that idea? And that blew my mind. And it really is this idea that everything is valuable, that's creative, is such a life-giving idea. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
Great, thank you, Zoya. Thanks, Andrea. We've got a lineup of a few more questions. So as you ask your question, we would love to get as many people as possible. Be a little succinct, okay? We have Dan and Hans, and then I see we have one person that has a question in the chat, Melanie. So we'll have Dan, and then Hans, and then Melanie Sievers.
Hey, thanks. Hey, Andrea. Hey, I got a quick question for you. As you may know, we have a sort of a budding artist or two in the house. And I wondered when was the point that it didn't sound like you like very intentionally started art. It was kind of an extra, or just you liked it or whatever. But what was the point? The question is, what is the point where you actually felt like you were an artist and you could say, I am an artist? When did that come?
Thank you, Dan. When did I know? Well, as an only child, I know that it soothed me because I was very lonely. And my parents, I think, noticed that the art supplies helped. In terms of your question, I think there were stages, like at 15, I needed to choose if I was going to go out for the play and be an actress or be an artist. And I decided then. And then I decided again in 18 when I was in Venice and looking at art and beauty all day by myself. And I knew I was an artist. And so when I went to college, I also didn't want to go to art school. That was like, ugh. I want to read books. I want to learn history. I want to learn languages. So I always painted and did photography. I love your kids. I know your kids. I'm happy to mentor all of them, massively talented, Dan's and Shauna's kids. I think it was a series of progressions, but the moment I decided I would earn a living at it, then the fear started, but so did the success right away.
Awesome, thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for being here. All right, Hans, we've got a question or a comment from Hans.
Well, first I want to say hello to everyone, especially you. Yeah, hi, Karina. I met Karina and Andreas just last year, and it seemed like a lifetime. So I'm so happy and so delighted to know you folks. I'm also very emotional. I'm not sure why. It's from joy. First off, thank you for saying a bit about your history, and I absolutely love your parents. I'm, just so thankful for them, because through you, I know a little bit about, we've talked about Hungary and things like that. So I am a graphic artist that I'm now going to be a fine artist or something. I'm not sure what. So for me, it's like an encore career. So is there any words of wisdom you can?
Well, I spent all of last year encouraging Hans to trust in his art. Hans, you know, there's so much I'd like to tell you, right? We might need to start up our weekly calls again, right? What I would say is I've have a cocktail party at your house and pin up with push pins art around your house. Take off whatever you have on the walls and have a party and go, this is what I'm making. Invite everybody to your art show at home and give yourself a date and fill up your walls with paintings, and then have a little, you know, have a little something to say and a price list. And I think if you give yourself a deadline, that's my first bit of advice. The rest we can do offline, Hans.
That's delightful. Thank you so much. I'm
Thanks,
excited.
Hans. Thanks, Hans. Thanks, Andrea. Let's see, we've got Melanie Sievers, and I want to just acknowledge we really have officially one more moment. I can stay on, you know, a few more minutes. I know we have a wonderful crowd of people, and there's a lot of people that have something to say. So if people want, we can stay on a few more minutes. And Andrea, thanks for such a fabulous presentation, and thanks for inviting so many of your friends.
And you all want art supplies, come get a brush. We'll start painting.
Great. Melanie, did you have a question or a comment?
A question. I just wanted to say that you are so freaking delightful. I am just so delightful. I love those pictures, and I in your honor, I am going to make a painting today. I'm going to paint today, just for you.
Oh, brava. And Melanie is an amazing artist too.
No, not really.
Oh,
but
stop it.
Thank you. That's all. I just want to say that it's so delightful, so friggin' delightful.
Thank you for being here, Melanie. And thank you, everyone else. Anyone else want to raise your electronic hand? We can go for one or two more if you really want to stay.
I would like to. What is your next project, Andrea?
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm going to start a series of mandalas with leaves. And I'd like to go back to the rainforest to paint what the trees are telling me there.
Wonderful, beautiful. Thank you.
Great. Well, let's see. Connie Sackerson, all the way from California. Please, we'd love to hear your comment or question. I've got you unmuted. Now I've got you unmuted. There you go.
There we go. I wasn't. Okay. Yes. Andrea, you and I have known each other forever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And it's such a huge difference to see all of this, including that great picture of you in the Hungarian dress, but you know, your whole history. And I've already seen your art. I know your art is gorgeous. It keeps expanding and getting better and better and better. So it's a privilege to be here watching this, being with you, being with all your friends. And yeah, it's just amazing. So thank you, love. And thank you, Corinna, for putting it together for all of us. All right.
So you're
Connie, it means a lot to me because Connie's been there when I've cried and felt sorry for myself in life. She's been there when I was like, no, it's not going well. So thank you, Connie, for witnessing my transformations.
And what would I do? Just get off it. Kinda, yeah. No, but thank you. Yes, it's truly, truly phenomenal to see the explosion from the 10-year-old to whom you've become. And I didn't realize, I knew you were doing a lot globally, but I didn't realize the extent of it until I saw all this. So thank you, love.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Connie. All right, I see we have two more hands. Oh no, one more. Sheila after that, and we'll have Sheila be the last for the questions today. And before Sheila, you do speak, I just want to let you know, are you coming from Italy, it looks like?
I am.
Wonderful. Oh, hello. I want to let you all know that we have 3 more sessions of this next week. And I've been inviting all artists and entrepreneurs. And so we have a Facebook page that's Connect and Create, and every week we post them. Also, we send out a weekly newsletter that lets people know the different Connect and Create speakers that will be up. So if anyone does have to leave right away, just please feel free to put your contact in the chat, or definitely look us up on the Facebook. We have some fabulous people next week, a health professional. We have a fabulous photographer and a wonderful budding artist from Romania who will be speaking. So, okay, please go ahead. Let's hear your question, Sheila, and thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. So it's not a question. I just want to acknowledge Andrea. Many of you might think you're her best friend, but I'm actually her BBFF. I met Andrea about, 20 years ago, I think about 18 years ago at the forum, I think it was. And I just want to acknowledge the growth and the contribution you've been to me. I don't care about everybody else. I just care about me right now. So I just want to publicly acknowledge you and thank you for everything that you've done, and especially to me, because I wouldn't be in the place that I am right now in Italy. I've been here for 8 years without a lot of friends, and you've kept me going. You've been there for me always. And I love your art, and keep going, and I can't wait to see what you're doing next. And thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sweetie.
I acknowledge Sheila's been witness to, the COVID-19 before we had it hit. So I'm glad you're here and Italy is recovering. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Well, listen, I just want to thank each and every one of you. And I was scrolling through the names, and I want to acknowledge a really special person that's here, my sister, Alyssa.
Yay!
Do you want to come on and just say hi before we close out, Alyssa? She might be just on listen.
Yeah. Hi, I was just listening. I just finished my morning yoga practice, and I said, I have enough time to check in and see what's going on with Karina and this amazing Connect and Create, what do we call it? Forum that you're creating. Another wonderful manifestation of my sister's creativity. And so it's lovely to see. I hope I can catch a little longer one next time.
Jill's going to be on Tuesday.
I will do my best.
Awesome. Well, Andrea, this is my sister Alyssa. Many of my friends, you've heard me speak of my sister. This is my sister Alyssa. So great to see you.
Hi.
And Andrea, I just want to say thank you for bringing us all over the world with your artwork. And Alyssa, thank you so much for being here. It meant so much to see your name there. I love it.
I'm happy. It's wonderful to see you and your
family, right?
Yeah.
Great job, Corinna. What a great forum for you to invite your friends and your new friends who are going to come.
Yes. So thank you so much. We did go over a little bit of time, but it was well worth every single minute. Andrea, I'd love to give you the last word. And actually, before I do that, I want to say a special thank you also to Bruce Saybrook, who had to leave. He helped with all of the wonderful images. And we had Mark Hann. Mark Hann is here, and he helps me with some of the technical work. If anyone has anything that they need to do with their websites, get your SEO going better or anything like that, he's your guy. Mark, if you want to say a quick hi before we give Andrea the last word.
Just wanted to say hello to everyone. If everyone can go to the Facebook page and like it, Connect and Create, that would be great. I'm going to tag everyone in the screenshot I took of this, of today's forum. It was great. Andrea, I'm a fan now. I'm going to be looking up some of your pieces. You did a great job, and you have such a great personality. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure to share about my life. I have to tell you, it took me hours to find a picture of me in the Hungarian dirndl. But it was like, oh, that's the root of everything, was working in my parents' restaurants in that dirndl and selling desserts. So I'm still selling desserts, kids. So I love you. Thank you for coming today.
Yes. And Andrea, egészségedre.
Egészségedre. That's to your health in Hungarian.
Yes, we'll have to share hungry stories next.
Oh, good.
All right. Well, everyone, it's been such a pleasure to have each and every one of you here. I hate to say see you later, but I'm going to say see you later. So please come back next week. And Andrea, once again, thank you so much for coming. And thank you even more for bringing all of your friends.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
If you all want to take yourselves off mute, you can have a quick shout out before we close out.
Bye.
Bye.
Andrea. Hey, Elizabeth.
Congratulations.
Hi,
Fabulous,
Have a
Meryl.
good day, everybody.
You're so adorable. I love you.
Yes.
Pussy, pussy.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Thank
Bye,
you, Andrea.
Tanya. Bye, Mark. Hey,
Hey.
Tom.
All right.
Thank
Good meeting you, everyone.
Hi,
Good meeting.
Rebecca. Hi, Gabriel.
Thanks,
Paul.
Mark.
Also,
Wonderful.
Kyla, Amy.
See you.
Kelly, Sarah was here. Eva was here.
So
I
fun.
couldn't get my mom on. I couldn't teach her Zoom through the
Aw.
window.
Andrea, you kicked it. Go, girl.
Thanks, Sarah. Wouldn't be anyone without you.
Oh my God. And I just want to tell you, don't ever forget, the mind is a dangerous thing.
You're what?
The mind is a dangerous thing.
The witches? I'm sorry.
The mind.
The mind.
Oh, the mind. Oh, no.
As I've told you, do not let it win.
No, no.
Okay. Bye.
I think
Love
Renata
you,
was
Andrea.
here. Bye, Dawn.
See you later.
Hi, Andrea. Meryl, bye.
Bye, Meryl. See you later.
Okay.
Bye, Frank Rocky. Bye,
Hi,
Carol.
Frank.
I'll see Frank in 2 minutes.
All right. Take
Do you
care,
want to
everyone.
decompress, right? Do you want to get off to
Yeah.
decompress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Or stay here.
Take care, everyone. It was so great to have you. Please come back again.
Ciao.